Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham. It's Friday, 1 o'clock, or just after 1 o'clock. Took me a little bit of time to get going. Had all sorts of Wi-Fi problems this week, as per usual. But great to have you here on the handicap. Of course, it's rugby chat that matters. We're talking Rugby World Cup. We've got one round of matches left in the round robin stage, and then we move into the quarterfinals. Can we make some money to build the kitty ahead of this World Cup? We'll have a look now. But let me introduce you to my guest. He's already nodding his head. This man is determined to make money. It's Mondo. Mondo, good to have you back on the show, mate. I know you've been doing some
good to be back.
With the Crow. Yeah, good to have you on, mate. Big weekend ahead. What are your sort of first overall thoughts? Is it one where we should be firing at the bookies or holding, sort of keeping our powder dry until the quarterfinals?
I think there's definitely a few opportunities. I think the thing that a lot of people are digging into, which I like, is those weird, exotic little markets. And people are digging into those to find value, which has made it quite fun to chat because it's not the usual, what's the cap, what's the overs done. People that aren't into like halftime bets and try scorers and man of the match and that kind of stuff. So it's people like generating excitement on a game that normally they wouldn't be, which is quite fierce. It makes it quite fun. The All Blacks cost me a bit of money last night, but Damien McKenzie, man of the match, brought it all back. And I would normally not be a man of the match punter, but I figured let's throw a little tin, 7-1. And that's the way some of these smaller games, these dead rubbers, where you can find a little nuggets of value, and it's quite fun. It's been a lack of World Cup for watching, but also for punting.
No, that's for sure. I just want the guys in the live chat just to mention how the sound is there. My Wi-Fi has also been giving problems, but if you do have any sound problems, guys, let us know, and one of us will try to go out and come back in or something along those lines.
Well, let me just reset my...
Yeah, because you sounded fine when I spoke to you earlier. Maybe take the headphones off and see if that makes a difference. Okay. While Mondo is doing that, guys, live viewers, you can win a 500 Rand voucher at BetExchange. And thanks, BetExchange, for the sponsorship of the show. You can see up at the top there, 10,000 Rand match on your first deposit. All you got to do in the live chat is mention hashtag Rugby World Cup, just like Stefan has done there. And we're going to do the usual lucky draw at the end of the show. And what we'll be giving away there is a 500 Rand voucher with BetExchange. Great to welcome Reverend from New Zealand. Reverend, I saw your comment on the forum, mate. Opposing New Zealand has been a little bit expensive. Mondo, I'll come back to you in just a second. I just want to say a quick thank you. The Undertaker, he might be popping on the show later. But anyway, the Undertaker's off to France last week, and the travel agency gave him 2 clip drifts, which he could not claim. So he asked me if I wanted them. But I didn't get a chance to go and get them because my son saw the correspondence. He raced out and got it. And as he says there, thank you, Undertaker. Him and his mate are really gonna enjoy that one. But yeah, Mondo, plenty of entries coming into the comp. And just to mention, you're more than welcome to enter yourself there. Hashtag RWC.
Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, Reverend saying a pretty painful experience opposing the All Blacks the last couple of games. I guess we'll talk about. Let's quickly talk about New Zealand because, of course, their game is gone for the weekend, Mondo. I mean, the big question with New Zealand is, they looked brilliant against Italy. They were held early against Uruguay, but ultimately cut them to pieces. But the thing is, are they actually going to pay the price perhaps for not having a stern test, obviously since the first game against France, when they meet presumably Ireland in the quarters?
I think, if I'm really honest with you, their biggest worry is themselves. It's just picking the right 15. And I think that's maybe where these, in effect, trial matches have come, is it helped these players sort of play themselves into contention because the props have not set the world on fire. So someone like Tamaiti Williams, I don't know how that guy's not starting. Now that Frizzell's back, Kane's back. So it's been a little bit of a blessing allowing the injured players to come back and not have, a huge crunch match where they would have been rushed or, a bit of a problem. So it's blessing and a disguise. Look, the All Blacks have never been tested in pool play, really. This is the first time they've ever lost a game. It's always been this way, where they put up a few thrashings and one semi-decent game. So I don't know if I'd read too much into it. But, yeah, realistically, they should play Ireland next week, I think it is. And, who would you rather be, the All Blacks with a 2-week break or Ireland coming up after a bruising match against Scotland? You know what I mean? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You could argue either way. I don't know.
No, I agree with you there 100%. In fact, I'm very firmly in the camp that I'd rather I'm not saying All Blacks will beat them because I really rate Ireland highly, but I'd rather be in the All Black camp in the World Cup, having time to prepare. Last night, they gave some of their guys a run, took them off when they wanted to. We might have to have Johnny Sexton on the park for the full 80 minutes tomorrow if it comes down to a close game against Scotland. So definitely for me, I would say that's what I would be looking at. And just to mention, we got the outright betting scrolling down below there at BetExchange. South Africa 3-1, Ireland 33-10, same price as France. New Zealand, big movers. There was 9-2 on them a week ago. They have come in after their performances against Italy, less so, I think, against Uruguay. England 12, Wales 22. You've got Argentina 45-1. So that's the outright betting. But let's get into the action now, and we'll talk about the first game, Mondo, because that's, of course, taking place tonight. And we got France up against Italy. France minus 27.5. This is exactly where the handicap was set for New Zealand against Italy. Yeah. And as you know, I was on the plus then. Undertaker, we had to check for signs of life of Undertaker early in the week just to make sure he was still okay. He was also, and by the way, Undertaker is not running scared. He actually wanted to come on the show with you, Mondo, and he might well pop on later, but he's not running scared. He's just got work commitments, just in case any of the guys thought he just didn't want to face everyone after the Italy game. We got this big handicap now. We got a situation where France simply need the win to obviously top the log. Italy, let's face it, unless they pull something incredible out the bag to beat France, they're going home. What do you make of this game? The handicap has been fairly stable all week. Open 28.5, went in 26, and seems to have settled at 27. We've got a points line here of 56.5.
So firstly, I want to say to Henrik and to everyone, we have all made absolute howlers in our day. Everyone has made a call that they were bullish on, and it went down the toilet quick. So, anyone who wanted to talk a bit of shit about him or say it was a bad call, it's happened to all of us. That being said, this week I am embarrassed to say that I'm thinking of Italy on the plus. And just because, look, the way the All Blacks played last week, they would have done that to almost anyone. That was like with the All Blacks just on fire. So you can take a little bit of sort of reading out of that. But I just think Italy and France play each other all the time. All the players play each other in like a lot of these guys in French rugby, Champions Cup, all that stuff. There's that knowledge of the play. And I think that might count against France putting up a huge cricket score just because there's no element of like surprise in effect. Whereas, the All Blacks, Italy had no clue what to expect. And they just couldn't handle the pace, I would have liked France more if a healthy Dupont was playing. I think Luku's good. He's a damn good player, but he's just not going to set that team on fire like Dupont does. But then Dante, I think, is almost equally important, if not more important, to that backline humming. So I don't know. I've got a few notes. I think France over 20.5 halftime is appealing. I think Italy over 6.5 points. They've been at halftime. I think they can do something. The points line is set at 57.5. I think that's quite high. I'm not a natural unders better at all, but if I had to, I would consider it. But I think Italy on the plus. I think if I had to. And you, what's your gut telling you?
Well, just bring Daniel in there. He goes Italy on the plus. Yeah, I've done the preview here for Good for the Game. And what I ended up going with, and I think you touched on it there, you said France over 20.5 points. In fact, while I was writing the preview, there was over 18.5, and I'm talking first half points here. And then I managed to get 19.5. And I'll give you my logic on that. France, at the end of the day, they've obviously got a hell of a strong side out. They can't afford to slip. So they're going out there. I think what France will do is they're going to go out there. They're going to mean business from the gun. They're going to go out there. They're going to put Italy to bed in some form or other. And then they're going to pull on the subs. And that's similar to what New Zealand did against Uruguay. And then the game can go either way. Italy could come back into it and score a few tries. Or the subs might just kick on and play really well. But for me, and I'm not a massive halftime punter, and I laughed when you were saying, guys who are not usually playing halftime bets are now playing halftime bets because you pretty much talked about me there. I'm not a big halftime punter, but I think France to do the business in the first half, if you get over 19.5, over 20.5, once you start getting to 21, you make me nervous, But anywhere, 19.5, 20.5, that is my overs play on that game. Reverend just saying he worries about Italy a meltdown, but Donnie agreeing on the plus, and the guys generally coming in. I see a couple of familiar names coming in on the competition there. A man who is going to be watching the Irish game very closely, Kian Hoban. He writes a couple of previews for us, and then I don't want to say if I'm related to this guy, other than he appeared in the picture early on in the show holding a couple of bottles of Clippies. So the boy's obviously keen on a 500 Rand bet exchange voucher. And isn't it amazing? I mean, Mondo, my kids are 18 now. I don't have to hide the fact that I gamble anymore.
Yeah, not they can really be proud about it, you know. Now, the problem is now your son just steals your brandy. That's the problem. He goes from a son to a brandy bandit.
I kind of joked to him, you can have some, and he grabbed both. I thought I'd at least get one. But
take with both hands.
Yeah, let's get into the next game then. So I'm looking forward to tonight's game, I must say, and I'm going to be quite involved in the French game. But Wales up against Georgia. This is an interesting one. By the way, I'm bringing up the Bet Exchange even money price boost here. And just for those who haven't watched the show before, Bet Exchange have got a price boost. You can look for it on their in the sort of left-hand menu, and you can get up to 5,000 Rand of the handicap and the total points at even money, which is really, really a great offer from them. Now, I must tell you, when I looked at their site, they didn't have the handicap up for Wales, Georgia. So I'm assuming it's 17.5, which is basically where it's set. But the points line was there, and it wasn't 50.1. It was 50.5. Not that it makes a difference. Now, I'll tell you my opinion. Yeah. Now, Mondo, myself on this one, I'll tell you what I've ended up doing. I've ended up going with over 50.5 here at Bet Exchange at even money, and I'll just change that while you're talking. I think this is ultimately a game that it's not an important game to either side. And I've been quite impressed with Georgia. They're playing a much more fluent game than the Georgia have passed. Conditions look absolutely excellent. It's a daytime kickoff. I'm saying over 55.5, a nice solid play on that for me.
That's my heart 1,000% agrees with you. Like it should. My only worry is the lack of motivation for Wales. You know what I mean? I think to myself, are they going to just slow this game down into a slog, avoid energies, just grind out a win? Whilst Georgia may well, play with some endeavour, or Wales going to respond. Georgia plus 17.5, it could be super comfortable, but if Wales actually just play some rugby, that could get blown out. Because Wales actually are decent. They've flown so under the radar for this World Cup. They're actually a decent side. I can't fight you on that. I think if the 50.5 misses, it's going to be like an ugly miss, and you'll be irritated, but it should hit. I mean, the weather in France has really played its part. The pitches are beautiful. The tier 2 guys are really throwing some ball around and having some fun. So, yeah, I'll agree with you. 50.5. I think I did spot Georgia plus 9.5 halftime, which could see a bit of money, because I think if Wales are going to blow them out, it happens in the second half. I think Georgia keep them honest in the first. They take their threes, they rumble up. But I think the over 50.5 is the play.
Right, well, Daniel just saying, and Chris will say no bet. That's probably solid advice, Chris. Unfortunately, not advice I'm very good at taking. But Daniel saying he doesn't understand the Wales team, and I think I know what you mean by that, Daniel. When I looked at it myself, I couldn't figure out if Wales were trying to rest players or if they were trying to give players a run, if you know what I mean. Like, it was kind of half first string, half not. So perhaps they've just identified that different players need more game time or something along those lines. But I was a little bit confused by the Welsh team as well, and that's why I was quite put off the handicap. But I am fairly confident on this points line. Hopefully we can get something there. Right, let's move on to the next game. And we got this game, Mondo. I'm in your hands, mate. I've got absolutely no opinion on this game. So whatever you say, I'm pretty much going to be nodding my head and probably going for. We've got England minus 20.5 against Samoa. The handicap has pushed out a point or two since it opened early in the week. And total points line of 52.5. And those are both available at even money on the Bet Exchange price boost. Mondo, convince me to have a bet in this game.
The bet that I have that's caught my eye is Samoa over 15.5. Look, they have been disappointing in this World Cup. That's for damn sure. But Sopoaga is back, and he's so much better for that team than Lealiafano. Lealiafano is a good servant of Australian rugby, but he's like 40 years old now. And he's kicking. So Sopoaga back. That's a big plus for Samoa. Samoa picked a good side. They've got cracking loose forwards. England have got a good side, but Ford, Farrell, 10, 12. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work. It has never worked. Look, on my notes, I say overs for sure. I'm much more confident on the Samoa overs than the England. England's line is sitting at 36.5. it's the Ford Farrell 10-12. It's either going to cook or it's going to do absolutely nothing. Because I don't know if Farrell's going to be able to just backseat and let Ford be the general. If I had to do anything, yeah, my bet for this game is Samoa over 15.5, and maybe a little bit. If you're feeling bolshy, if Wales and Georgia has made you some money, maybe a little bit on the England versus Samoa overs, because Samoa, nothing to lose. They're going to throw it around. England, they can score. They've got a decent backline, decent forwards, shit coach, but what can you do? Yeah, back the overs, I'd say.
Right, yeah. Okay, you've probably done enough to convince me there. So Nasiwe arriving from Facebook. Now, this is going out on the Bet Exchange Facebook page. So welcome to all of those who wouldn't necessarily be regular viewers of the show, and we hope you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. I see you've entered at hashtag RWC. You can win that 500 voucher. I'll just bring it up sort of midway through the show. If you haven't commented in the live chat yet, you don't have to make a comment. You can just say hashtag RWC. Otherwise, tell us what's going to happen in the Ireland-Scotland game, and we'll put you in line for that voucher there. One other name I wanted to bring up, in fact, a couple. I saw Darren Holiday, of course, one of our shrewd young punters, coming along, and Edward Schlechter. He's been making some brilliant posts in the Good for the Game forum, highlighting value in some of the long-term markets. And I do have there is a link down to the Good for the Game forum post in the description box below. You don't want to miss some of those posts, especially next week, probably as we head into the quarterfinals. As I said, no real firm view for me on that one, and I'll probably be leaning towards the overs. I'm actually looking, perhaps, Mondo, for a price on a drop goal, and I think that I might be able to get that further out because, Ford had those drop goals early. Obviously, it was an important game against Argentina. This game is a dead rubber for them. But I'm wondering if their strategy is to go into the quarterfinals and hope, I'm expecting a few drop goals in the quarterfinals from England, at least attempts. I'm wondering if they may not just try and keep Ford sharp and perhaps he has a couple of bangs. What do you think?
It's actually such a good shot. I didn't even think of that. Because you think if they need, put it this way, if the game is tight, that could mean drop goal because game's tight. If the game's a blowout, it could also be, Ford just taking a cheeky drop goal from 20 meters out because he can. What's the line? I
haven't got a price. Okay, so I know like some of the bookies price up standard like 18-10, but they don't give you the no option. But I would think you should get if a bookie, and maybe I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll ask someone to price this up for us, and I'm sure we'll get about 3-4 to 1 perhaps. I'll see if I can find a line there. Sindisa, we're going to come to that Ireland game now. Sorry, Mono?
No, 3 or 4 to 1. That would be a good shot. I think that's got value.
Yeah, it could be. I've just got a feeling that not that I think the game will necessitate a drop goal, but just that England, might try and something.
They will just do it.
Yeah, hey 40. Let's just see how you're feeling ahead of next week. Right, Mondo, I want to go on to the big game now. We've already got comments about this in the live chat. Ireland, they're minus 11.5 against Scotland. Even money using the Bet Exchange price boost. You've got points here at 45.5. Also even money. Now, I must say, I posted a video early in the week, just looking at, I called this one. Last week, I did a video called Pool B Scenarios. This time, I looked at the conspiracy theory. The collusion, would Scotland collude with Ireland? Now, you're welcome to watch the video, but if you haven't watched it yet, to save you the trouble, there's absolutely no chance of these sides colluding, first of all, up front. Let me put it to you that way. So we're going to get a proper test match on our hands. I was interested in the one comment that was made below that video where the guy said it's not that there's a conspiracy up front. But if there's a situation where for some freak reason Scotland get well clear and they're leading by 18 points and they've scored 4 tries and somehow either Ireland are still getting a bonus point, it would be in Ireland's interest to let them in. But we won't even go into that now. But at the end of the day, I'm expecting a proper test match. I'm going to save my views for after you've spoken. What do you think here? Okay. We've got a handicap 11.5, 12.5, and a points line of 45.5.
I've struggled to I've had so many contrasting thoughts to this game. I mean, the thing that I thought most, and watching the Six Nations and getting burnt by Ireland a few times, is they are the kings of the fast start. They try and blow you out in the first 20 minutes and then you're done. And what I actually thought, two markets that caught my eye immediately were Ireland over 1.5 first half tries and Ireland over 13.5 points half time. I think those two are very, very good lines, both at evens. For Scotland plus 11.5, they really were absolute toilets against South Africa. But since then, they've improved. 11.5. Thing is, Ireland have no motivation to thrash them. They just need a win. They don't even need a win. They just need to not lose by many. You know what I mean? So the motivation surely has to be on Scotland to keep going till the bitter end. So I wouldn't like to be on the Ireland minus because, you know what I mean, when the game's won and dusted with 20 minutes to go, they might then tackle for the stars and Scotland come roaring back in. Yeah, I mean, the points line sitting at 47.5. Yeah, I think my strongest feel are the Ireland first half markets. I think that's where I feel most confident.
Right, well, I can tell you, I've got a confident player. I put it up on the Good for the Game preview, and if the price is still available and the line is still the same when I do the newsletter later, it'll probably be my newsletter best bet. But I said when I did the video that I'm hoping the try line is about 5.5, and I'm going under 5.5 tries. And my reasoning is this. Scotland's best chance of progressing, win this game by 8 points or more and don't give Ireland a bonus point. It's a long shot. Yeah. Interestingly enough, they're only 8-1 to win by 8 points or more, but obviously then they've got to stop Ireland getting, in this case, that case will be a 4-try bonus. So it's in Scotland's interest to have a tight game here, not a wild, because the moment Ireland get their bonus point for scoring a try, Scotland are pretty much gone. So I think it's going to be tight. I think Scotland will go for their points. By the same token, Ireland, at the end of the day, they just need a point out of this. So you could argue we'll go for the bonus point, but let's face it, scoring 4 tries against the Scottish side wouldn't be easy anyway.
Tough.
When they get a chance, Sexton, I believe, and like I was telling you before the show, he's probably going to prove me wrong and kick it to the corner first up. But I believe Sexton's going to take the point. So I think we might get points in this game, but I don't think we're going to get 6 tries. And my bet here is under 5.5 tries. It's quite a confident strike, I must say. My biggest bet of the World Cup so far, under 5.5 tries as we look to undo some of the Australian and in Italy damage from last week.
I think
what Chris said here. Ireland blowout. Yeah, look, there is a chance, Chris, of Ireland blowout. I'm hoping even if it does blow out a bit, though, that Ireland still accumulate points rather than chasing tries, at least, probably until quite deep in the game. So that's my bet on that one.
5 tries.
What do you think of that one? What do you think? I mean, obviously, the thing is for you, Mondo, if you go in Ireland over 1.5 first half tries, which I can appreciate, so, you're not going to want to play the under 5.5 as well. And by the same token, even though I hear what you're saying on the 1.5, I don't want any tries in the first half. I want this first half to be 9-6 to Scotland. That's what I would love.
You see, I could see. So when I sort of did my, like how the game I think would go, I thought to myself, Ireland scored 2 quick tries in like the first 15 minutes, and then Scotland claw back, and I see like a 17-12 halftime score, something like that, where Scotland 4 penalties, maybe 1 try, but probably 4 penalties. That's what I was just thinking, my sort of imagining of the game. I think under 5 could still work because Ireland may well score tries, but I think they might be hard to come by for Scotland. So Ireland might do 3 tries, Scotland 1, something like that. I don't think put it this way, if your bet loses, it's to a late heartbreak hotel. I think you're safe for most of it, unless there's some kind of stupid red card, yellow card, something ridiculous. Touch wood.
Yeah, I hear you. And I mean, I took this bet, for example, I think it was Namibia Euro, and it lost. But I mean, there was a different situation. There were like 3 soft tries in the first 10 minutes, and then it looked like I was maybe going to get up, and then there were a couple towards the end. So like any bet, nothing's home and hose, but I do like that bet as one of my more solid plays for the weekend. Let's move on then to, and I somehow changed the order and everything. Yeah, right. Let's go on to this game. Very interesting game this Mondo. Japan plus 13.5 against Argentina. Argentina have not fired in this World Cup really to date
at all,
but they did the business against Samoa. Japan, I thought, were very impressive against Samoa. And here we got a game where it's effectively the winner goes through to the quarterfinals. So, it's going to be a very tense and tight one. We got a points line of 47.5 and a handicap Japan plus 13.5. Where are you going?
Look, I think this is going to be nothing short of an absolute slogfest. Neither team have been dynamic on attack, against real opposition. And I think Japan really impressed me against Samoa with their defense. I think 2019 World Cup, 2015, Japan developed a bit of dynamicism and flair and a bit of X factor. And now it seems like they've become kind of defensive-minded maybe, but solid. They might not score that many tries, but they're going to stop you from scoring. Japan's, what's a plus? I think for me, the sort of the bet that came rushing out to me was Argentina under 30.5. I think that could have legs, because I think whilst Argentina probably win, I can't see it being a blowout. I think close. I hate betting unders, but could be an unders slogfest. Argentina under 30.5 would be my play. Yeah, I reckon.
Well, Daniel's saying he's strong on the Japan plus 13.5, and I just want to bring
I can get on board
Darren
with that.
Holiday's comment back up. Also plus 13.5. So when you're getting guys like this all going on the plus, certainly starting to lean in that direction as well. Fareed reckons Argentina will make heavy weather of this cap, but has a defense to keep Japan out. So that Fareed, reading between the lines there, I'd suggest you might also be an unders player there at 47.5. And Chris likes your Mondo RGs. So he likes your unders on RGs there. They get lazy in the second half when winning. Very good point. Right, let's move on to the next game. We've got a couple of games left. I mean, quite sad in a way. We're coming to the end of the group stages of the World Cup. But let's have a look at this one. Tonga minus 37.5. That Open minus 35.5. I think I capped this game in the 40s, to be honest. So not surprised to see the money for Tonga there. Against Romania, who has really been the whipping boys of the World Cup. They've been absolutely awful. And we've got a points line here of 57.5. Mondo, at this stage of the weekend, you're either flying or you're chasing. Either way, you've got to try and make money on this game. What are you going to do?
Yeah, this is at this stage of the weekend, you're thinking, oh shit, am I going to be hearing carte blanche music in my head for the rest of the week? Or am I in a good mood? But my bet of the day for this, my feeling, Tonga over 49.5 at just over 2 and a bit. I think Tonga put on a bit of a show. Romania are gassed. How can you keep motivation high? They will be gassed. I think Romania will score 1 or 2. Romania's points line at 9.5. I think, 2 tries, a penalty and a try. I think that's not out of the realms. They will throw the ball around. They're not going to die wondering. I like their attitude. If I'm honest, they've been absolutely demolished, but they've kept going, which is positive. I think Tonga over 20.5-ish. So the line wasn't out, but I anticipated it would be 20.5 or so halftime, which I think will also be gold. I don't particularly love the Tonga minus because I think Romania will score some, but Tonga points. Tonga will score plenty. In the second half, it'll just end up being Tonga's huge backs, Ben Tamaifuna. If I had to pick a try scorer bet, Tamaifuna to Barra over from close, I could see that. 57.5. So that would mean if Romania scored 10. Yeah, I would go overs on this. I think if you've got a Sunbet account, they do those match parlays where it's like I would say Tonga and over. It'll probably be on 2 and a bit to 1, maybe 2.1, 2.2, something like that when it gets released. If it's not out yet, that would have some legs, I think, because Romania will fall off. I think, surely Tonga have one performance. They've got some superstars that surely can give them one show. But I would prefer the Tonga points line. It's like 43.5 even money. I'd go 49.5 and then just sit back and enjoy the game.
Right, take a bigger putt there. I like Brad. Breath has come on and said, I'll be on the Romania plus sweating profusely. And sometimes, it's a bit like if you went on the Uruguay plus last night against the All Blacks. Even after 20 minutes when it's 0-0, you still think to yourself, hell, I'm not out of the woods yet. And as it happened, you definitely weren't out of the woods if you were on the Uruguay plus. But it's just one of those things. It's you just know you're going to be in for a sweat. This next game will have something on it, if not a lot on it, and that is Fiji up against Portugal. Fiji minus 21.5 here. This handicap has shifted out a bit during the week. And Fiji, of course, they just need 1 bonus point to knock Australia out and to progress through to the quarterfinals. Now, Portugal last week, they cost me money. I was on the minus 27.5 and 26.5 Australia. They lost by 20. What are we looking at here? Fiji also disappointing last week. They only just scraped past Georgia in the end. What Fiji team are we going to see? Are we going to see them put these Portuguese away, or do you think this is one for Portugal on the cap?
I've struggled with this because obviously there was that terrible news of Tuisoba's son passing away. And so his son passed away with like a long illness and he's opted to stay in France with his team. So you think, how does that affect morale? Have they rallied around him? or has it, because obviously Fijians are usually, or they are very religious, very Christian culture. So you think, I would imagine the support, all of that rallying around him, it's either going to have been a bit of a distraction. They will win. There's no doubt on that. The cap, I don't know. I just think, what's their motivation? They just need to win. Portugal will love to throw it around. They actually can ball a little bit. Henrik.
How's it, Mondo?
How's it, man?
Wounded, Henrik.
How's it, Henrik? Good to see you, mate.
Welcome.
As a matter of interest, did you catch the start of the show, or were you working?
Yeah, I was working, but I was listening to the show. So yeah, I got the whole show. So I was watching.
Okay. Did you see the thank you?
Yes. No, I'm just glad somebody that appreciates Brandy got it.
Went to a good home. Henrik, I tell you what, we basically discussing the last game now, so I'll bring you in on that, and then when we do the best bets, you could perhaps just take us through your thoughts on the remaining games as well. Mondo, did you have anything further you wanted to add on the last game, on the Fiji game?
Look, the price line is 55.5, and it would not be confident. It's very much how the weekend has gone will dictate if I have anything on this. But this could be one of those where you put, a little bit of tin on and you have a couple of beers and enjoy the game. I think it could be a fun game to watch. Because I've liked Portugal. I've liked what they've done. Everyone's favorite second team is Fiji. So, yeah, put some overs on and just enjoy it. I wouldn't be confident on anything there because you just never know. Because Fiji, what's their motivation to put on any kind of performance other than just win?
Yeah, I hear you. And we'll get Undertaker to come in now. But I almost feel in a way Fiji might be feeling a bit of pressure, not in terms of qualifying, but just in terms of the fact that after last week, a lot of questions being asked about them again. Everyone was like, they put in 2 good performances in a row against Wales and Australia, and then they sort of dipped against Georgia. Now, is this a Fiji team that can sort of hold their form? Undertaker, what do you think of this game?
Now, Brent, firstly, my form is terrible at the moment, so I don't. Nobody should listen to what I have to say, actually. And confidence obviously very low, but I like Portugal here. They've looked decent. They drew with Georgia, and all the other games they looked all right for me. And like you said, Fiji they weren't that great last week against Georgia. And if I'm correct, Fiji doesn't need a lot from this game, so I can't. There's no motivation for them to put Portugal away. So I like the plus. Yeah, I think this plus is too high. Almost 3 converted tries. Yeah, I'm happy to take the plus here. And I'd also be looking at overs on Portugal points. Maybe I think they can score points here.
Yeah.
Okay, before we bring Mondo back with the best bets, I want to run through everything with you. Just a reminder, and I see we got some people joining late on Facebook and that you can enter for the 500 Rand betting voucher. Just simply use hashtag RWC in the live chat. We'll get Henrik's opinion, then we'll do the draw, and then we'll come back for the best bets of both places. Henrik, I'm going to jump right up to the top of the page. Obviously, we'll keep it fairly brief here. Let's start off with France against Italy, minus 27.5. The French, points 56.5.
Yeah, Italy that burned me so badly last weekend. Shocking call by me. I heard your thoughts on that one, Wanda. Thanks for standing up there. I think it. Like Wanda said, New Zealand was just brilliant last week. So I think Italy overs for me. I think Italy can score 2 tries here maybe. Slight preference on the plus, but Italy overs for me on this one.
Yeah.
Right, but see, just bringing up some UFC plays. I know my son also following the UFC quite closely. Let's go to the next one. Henrik, Wales, minus 17.5 against Georgia. We got a point sign of 50.5.
Under some total points, Brent. I think this might be a messy game. I can't really see Wales putting Georgia away under some total points for me.
Okay, so we're against each other on that one, right? I'm hoping I want your form to improve on the weekend, but not on this game. If right, let's stick with Henrik then. Some England minus 20.5 against Samoa.
Tough one. That points line looks low. So over some total points. I'm not no feel on the handicap. Maybe minus on England, but yeah, total points overs.
Right, the big one, minus 11.5. You can also get 12.5 if you wanted to back Scotland on the plus, and a points line of 45.5. What a game this is going to be, Henrik.
Yeah, Brent, I like your unders on the total tries. I think that's the play. I can see both teams taking the point, going for posts here. So I like that one, and I think that's tough going against Ireland on the handicap. But I think there's value in taking Ireland by 1-12. Bit of a value play, but yeah, under total tries is the bet. I agree with you, Brent.
Right, then let's go on to Japan plus 13.5 against Argentina. Henrik, points line of 47.5.
Yeah, Japan plus, Brent. All the way Japan plus, yeah.
That's fast. I mean, I must say, a lot of the guys in the live chat there, and Mondo was also sort of rubber stamping. I think a lot of us leaning now. I wasn't leaning before the show, but I am when I hear all of you guys saying Japan on the plus. I'm starting to look in that direction. I also think possibly a fairly low-scoring game there. Tonga minus 37.5 against Romania.
I'm not sure I can trust Tonga on this one. I know Romania are horrible, but it's a terrible team. But Tonga, they terribly coached as well. I'm not going to take the plus. I'm going to have a look at some points here. It depends what Romania points are. Maybe overs. Maybe I hope they can get lucky. Yeah, probably the game I have to. I have no feel on this game. Yeah, tough one. This.
Yeah, it is quite a tough one. Well, we already chatted about the final game with you, so we're going to do the draw now to see if there's any last-minute entries using hashtag RWC to get entered into the draw. Fiji v Portugal, says Brad Gordon. Everyone's 2 second teams against each other. Brad, if you're not entered in the bet exchange voucher yet, hashtag RWC. Got a couple of seconds to go in there. I'll talk slowly, and yeah, I'm going to bring it up now. We're going to do that draw and see who wins. So just to mention, if you win the Rugby World Cup voucher, and I'll just maybe put us all on the side. If you win the Rugby World Cup voucher with bet exchange, then if you're called out in this draw, email me brent@goodforthegame.co.za, and I will tell you how you can go about getting your voucher. We'll give a few more seconds by saying this will be a good week for you unders taker. Agree with you 100% so far. So Daniel giving you a good rubber stamp and an unders taker. I'm sure happy to have the support. Yolandi, we've got yours already. You'll only take one from each person, so you don't have to worry to do any multiple ones. And for Reed, probably our final one there. I'm just going to pop over to the other screen. We've got 20, and I'm going to do the draw, and let's see who comes up. Richard Moore, can you believe it? He's won it before. Richard Moore. Sure. Well done. He actually won it. I think it was for him on his win there. Richard, you know the drill by now. You can email me at goodforthegame.co.za. Well played. I think it's my Wi-Fi going haywire. It took me off for a second there. So I won't waste any further time. Let's get into the gentleman's best bets for the weekend. A reminder that that there's a link to my newsletter, Best Bet, down below. Click on that. It's a free newsletter that comes out once a week, and in some cases in the World Cup twice a week, and you can subscribe to that. Right, let's start with you, Mondo. You've been quiet for a long time. I know that's not in your nature at all. So what are your best bets?
Yeah, I'm not a wilting flower or an introvert, that's for sure. The fact that Henrik, the notorious undertaker, has agreed on England versus Samoa's points, I think that has to be one of my favorites. Maybe the Samoa points more. No, England overs, set and forget and enjoy the game. I like Argentina under 30. I like that. The Japan plus, that is tasty. And the fact that I just thought I was a bit crazy. So the fact that you guys are all frothed over as well. And yeah, Tonga over 49.5. I don't know. I've just got a feeling they put up a 50, but then Romania will score. Romania's points line for Henrik was 9.5. So I think that's solid. But yeah, I like Tonga to give them a bit of a whipping. I like it.
Right, and I got to ask you this
Portugal plus.
Portugal plus, okay. And I got to ask you, Maggie Leach says she's just here for you. Now, I've got to ask you, please tell me you know her and she's not really a fan.
No, she's the first. I've never met her before in my life. I think that's my girlfriend being ridiculous. But credit to her, and this is actually quite interesting. I wanted to actually mention this. It's quite funny. I don't love it, but I do enjoy like a 96-17. I love a good thrashing because I love watching trials. I love it. But my girlfriend, who's not a rugby person, she hates them. She's like, no, I want Ireland, Scotland, 12-9 full time. Like, she loves the arm wrestle, the traditionalist stuff. And it's been
That's
quite
my
fascinating
topic,
to see. Yeah, exactly. That's right up your alley. And it's been fascinating to see the different opinions on these blowouts versus arm wrestles. So it's been a World Cup for everyone to enjoy. It's been lekker.
I must admit, first of all, I will say, if I have to choose, give me the quarterfinal clashes next week or the Ireland-Scotland, that's proper test rugby. But I do enjoy it from a punting point of view. I don't mind watching the odd hammering. I really don't. And, I suppose, it's not great for the team getting hammered, of course, but I don't mind it. But Maggie, I've never met you, and I've only met Mondo via Zoom and whatever we're doing now. But I'm just going to tell you, you can do a lot better, Maggie. Come on, keep looking out there. You've got to do better. Just kidding. I think
that's
Maggie, I think you got yourself
a
winner there. Now, tell me, did you say girlfriend or
that's your best
fiance?
bet. No, girlfriend at this stage. Don't get her too excited. Girlfriend at this stage.
Because I know when I was dating my wife, every time I tied my shoelaces, she used to say, yes, yes, thinking I was proposing. I don't know if you go through that. Talking a lot of nonsense on the show today. Let's get Undertaker's best bet on the card.
Brent, I think that Portugal plus. I haven't got a confident best bet this weekend, but I like that Portugal plus. And on the Japan Argentina game, I was gonna say Japan plus, but now that Mondo have mentioned Argentina's points is 30.5, I think that is to I agree with him. I like that under on Argentina. And then your bet on the Ireland game, probably that's probably the best of the ones I've mentioned as well. That unders on total tries, and I'll even take the unders on total points as well. I can see this game going the same way the Box versus Scotland or the Box versus Ireland. Both teams going to be desperate. They're going to give everything on the defense here. So unders in that game probably the best bet. And then Fiji, Portugal plus, and then Argentina unders. So I like those.
Okay, no, brilliant. So the Crow Tips picking up on the surname there says Leach, we are all Japan this weekend. That's it. And it seems like Maggie is quite bullish on the fiance there. And what I'd like to say then,
got you in trouble now.
Is, if you ever want to do any proposals or something, we can always do them live on air, eh?
Good for the game proposal, a first for the forum.
Excellent. Guys, that brings us to the end of a great show. Thanks to everyone in the live chat. Thanks to everyone who entered the comp. Well done to Richard for winning a game. Thanks to Bet Exchange for the sponsorship. Remember that 10,000 Rand match on your first deposit. And also, of course, their Bet Exchange boosts, which I've been playing a hell of a lot during this World Cup. I was having great success, although I have given some back of late. And then to my two guests, Mondo, who looks like he's manicuring the old beard there, ready for a big weekend. Thanks, mate. Great to have you on the show again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for coming, Henrik, and thanks, Brent.
Excellent. And then to the Undertaker, great to have you on. Just remind us again, when you jet off to France?
Yeah, Brent, thanks for having me. Sorry that I was late, but at least I could get on at the back end of the show. I'm flying out next Thursday evening. We'll arrive in Paris on Friday. So
What games are you watching, Henrik?
I'm going to watch quarterfinal 2 and 4. So I planned it all along that I should see one of the quarterfinals where the Box play if they get out of the group. So I'll probably see, it looks like I'm going to see Ireland versus the All Blacks and France versus the Box.
Jeez, two crackers. I'm properly jealous.
Now I'm looking forward to it.
We look forward to some weather updates and that from the Undertaker there as well. But Henrik, super jealous of you there, mate. I know we'll talk before, but from everyone who watches the show, I think wishing you a good time, a well-deserved break there in France, although I know it won't be much of a punting break. I'm sure you'll be getting quite involved when you're over there. Thanks, everyone. Been a great show. We'll catch you next week, probably at 12 o'clock start next week, Friday. I've got an appointment in the afternoon, which I have to honor, so we'll probably do at 12 o'clock next week, Friday. Until then, keep punting hard, and hopefully we'll see you on the Good for the Game forum.